So I spoke to Carlos Del Rio about this. He's an infectious disease doctor at Emory University. And he says, for coronavirus, we only achieve herd immunity once 60% or 70% of people have immunity. But so far, only about 10% of Americans have had the virus.
So let's suppose that by the time we get to a vaccine, we are at 20% of the population being infected. Well, you're still going to have to get another 40% of the population immune with the vaccine in order to be at 60%, which is the level of herd immunity you need for this virus. So it's not going to happen right away.
So bottom line, David, get used to the new norm. If you don't have a comfortable mask, get one. You'll likely need it.
Sounds like it. NPR's Allison Aubrey. Thanks so much, Allison.
Thanks, David.
Support for NPR health coverage comes from MD Anderson Cancer Center, offering lymphoma treatments, including CAR-NK therapy. More at mdandersonlymphoma.com.
This is NPR News.
And this is WHYY.
Join us for today's regional roundup. Millions of constituents are expected to vote by mail during the general election. We'll have a look at the step-by-step process. Also, impoverished communities are more likely to suffer the effects of air pollution. Hear from Olivia Glenn, Deputy Commissioner at New Jersey's DEP. And Mighty Writers creator Tim Whitaker tells us about Mighty Songwriters, the musicians who signed up to tell kids about the process of writing lyrics. That's the regional roundup this morning at 10 on WHYY.
Supporting WHYY, Bark Park, doggy daycare, grooming, and more in South Philly and brand new location in West Philadelphia. Bark Park, your dog's happy place. BarkParkPhilly.com.
8:30 on this Monday morning. Good-looking couple of days on tap. We have 64 degrees and sunshine right now. Highs headed up into the low 80s today. You're listening to Morning Edition on 90.9 WHYY, your NPR member station. Good morning.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Dave Mattingly. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is calling back House lawmakers from bringing legislation that bars the U.S. Postal Service from making operational changes ahead of the presidential election. This follows reports of mailboxes and sorting equipment being removed ahead of an expected surge in mail-in voting. The Postal Service says it will stop removing them through mid-November. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy is expected to testify in a House hearing next week. Paul Garber with member station WFDD says some protesters demonstrated outside DeJoy's home in North Carolina yesterday.
More than 100 people gathered outside of DeJoy's home in an upscale neighborhood in Greensboro. Despite being organized by a Democratic candidate for Congress, protesters say they don't want the post office to become a pawn in the 2020 presidential election. Maureen McCullough says she came to the demonstration motivated by one emotion.
Outrage. It's just been one thing after another with Trump for the last 3.5 years, and installing his crony to take over our post office and to impede the vote. It was the last straw.
The post office says it cannot guarantee that all ballots cast for the November election can be delivered in time to be counted. For NPR News, I'm Paul Garber.
This is NPR News.
At 8:31, we have 64 degrees and sunshine. Good morning. I'm John Weber, WHYY News. Students in the Reading School District were slated to begin classes fully online this year. For WHYY, Elena Elder reports the decision has sparked a conversation about making internet access available for free.
A petition with at least 900 signatures calls on Reading's elected leaders to push Comcast to provide free Wi-Fi access to families in the district. It argues the company's cheaper plan is still not an option for many. Petitioners submitted comments to the city council. Councilwoman Marcia Goodman-Hinnershitz says the city should revisit its agreement with Comcast.
This is a crisis situation for our children. We need to be able to look at what we can do. We give them the right to be able to establish their cable network throughout the city for this agreement. So we need to look at whether there's a way to amend it to be able to access people to internet services.
The petition cites data from 2018 that suggests 50% of the city's residents lack access to broadband, cable, or DSL, and that about 33% have no access even through mobile data plans. The numbers were higher than for the 3 other cities listed in the report as having low access, including Philadelphia, Erie, and Allentown. Alana Elder in Harrisburg.
And authorities say a sea turtle entangled in a fishing trap line and being circled by sharks off the South Jersey coast was rescued by a Coast Guard cutter. The Coast Guard says the stricken animal was reported 11 miles southeast of Cape May. The cutter Shearwater, an 87-foot patrol boat, headed to the scene and saw sharks encircling the turtle, so a team in a small boat was sent to circle the yelling animal until the sharks dispersed. Officials said crew members had cautiously approached the turtle and cut it free. It's 8:33.
Supporting WHYY, Temple Health. Many hospitals throughout the Delaware Valley and beyond rely on Temple to help treat their most critically ill and severely injured patients. With specialized intensive care, innovative clinical programs, and advanced organ transplantation, Temple is devoted to the treatment of medically complex patients. Learn more at templehealth.org/critical care. That's templehealth.org/critical care.
It's a Monday morning. I'm John Weber sitting in for Jennifer Lynn. So glad you can spend part of your day with me. You are listening to Morning Edition right here on 90.9 WHYY. You are NPR member station.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Procter & Gamble, maker of Metamucil, a fiber supplement containing psyllium, a plant-based fiber for trapping and removing waste in the digestive system, designed to be taken every day. More at metamucil.com/2-week challenge. And from Fidelity Wealth Management, where advisors work with their clients to develop flexible investment strategies that can evolve as their needs change. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Noel King in Washington, D.C.
And I'm David Green in Los Angeles. When the Democratic National Convention officially begins later today, a prominent Republican will be among the featured speakers. Former Ohio Governor John Kasich, who not so long ago ran to be the Republican presidential contender himself, spoke with our co-host, Steve Eakins.
I want to make sure I understand your point of view as you head into the Democratic convention here. Would you have been in favor of almost any Democrat against President Trump?
I can't say that. No, the answer to that would be no. No, it had to be somebody that I thought could bring the country together, but it doesn't matter. That's sort of hypothetical. We know who it is. But the answer to that would be no. It would have to be somebody that I thought could bring people together.
And Joe Biden meets the qualifications?
Yes, I've known Joe for a long time, and I believe that he's able to bring people together to solve difficult problems, and I think he keeps a cool head, and I don't think he gets easily offended, and I think he can work with people. That's his nature. That's what it's always been.
You know, it is pretty common at political conventions that at least one or two people from the other party will come across and maybe be asked to speak. Do you think this is an especially important time for you to have gone across to speak at the Democratic convention?
It's really up to the Democrats. They invited me. If I were to say, look, what I'm trying to do is essentially to tell people that, you know, the party doesn't have to be your master. You can feel free to cross the aisle and vote for somebody else. That's not some terrible thing to do. In fact, if you see somebody you like and you respect, it's what being an American is all about.
Governor, if we look at Republicans who support the president, there are many kinds of people. Some are people who simply support what the president is doing, support his policies, support his personality. But what would you say to a different kind of Republicans who may have misgivings about the president, but who just think they have to back Trump because of the disaster for the party otherwise?
I don't know what you mean by a disaster of the party because the president might lose. That doesn't eliminate the party. I mean, I'm not quite certain why people would feel that way. I mean, I don't think it's necessary in order to support a party to have to vote a straight party ticket. Furthermore, I don't also think it's that healthy if we can't respect and consider somebody else's point of view. We have, you know, I was out a year ago talking about how families argue and fight back and forth about this, and I thought it was waning a little bit, but it's actually accelerated. And now there are friendships that are being torn apart. There are families that are being torn apart because of politics. I've never seen anything like this. And, you know, to some degree, I think people would be less surprised or less worked up if I came out and announced I was an atheist, which I am not, as opposed to going to speak at the Democratic convention.
You mean that people are shocked that anyone would cross partisan lines?
Yeah, exactly right. So, it's like in some respects that their political party and philosophy has become a religion. Furthermore, for my friends on the Republican side or even on the conservative side, America's changing. The majority of people in this country are going to be millennials and Gen Xers, and the baby boomers are going to be not a majority any longer. And because of those folks, some of their ways they look at things are different than the way that the baby boomers look at things.
Do you want your party to take a different attitude toward racial changes in this country, demographic changes?
It's not just, Republican issue. It's an issue for every American. We want to make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity